Welcome to this week's Supply Chain Update, brought to you by Phoenix International. Let's start with market conditions. On the Trans-Pacific eastbound lane, demand remained sluggish in March, with no significant improvement post-Lunar New Year. Despite this, capacity has nearly fully recovered, leading to continued declining rates. The gap between fixed and floating rates is narrowing, with multiple carriers scaling back or eliminating peak season surcharges. In the Far East westbound market, capacity adjustments have been minimal. MSC has reduced vessel capacity on its primary FLWB service, but new fleets from other carriers have helped balance the impact. Maersk has announced a general rate increase for April, but its success depends on whether demand strengthens later this month. For the transatlantic westbound trade, blank sailings are decreasing, leading to improved capacity stability, particularly in South Europe. Carrier utilization is high, with some routes reaching full vessel occupancy. However, rate adjustments remain mixed. Some carriers have applied mitigated PSS, while others have postponed implementation. Now let's take a look at operational updates. On the Trans-Pacific eastbound trade, equipment availability remains strong across major origin hubs, with no shortages anticipated. This stability allows shippers to book confidently without major disruptions. For Far East westbound, while no significant equipment shortages have been reported at origin, logistical bottlenecks are slowing cargo movement. Congestion at key destination ports is extending transit times, and future export demand will depend on how quickly inventory levels normalize. On the transatlantic westbound lane, equipment availability is tight in Central Europe, particularly in Austria, Slovakia, Switzerland, Hungary, and parts of Germany. To avoid delays, shippers are advised to use carrier haulage services in affected regions. Southern Europe, however, is not experiencing equipment shortages at this time. Turning to capacity management, on the Trans-Pacific eastbound route, vessel capacity has rebounded to near full recovery, exceeding pre-Lunar New Year levels. Despite full schedules, overcapacity is pushing rates downward. In the Far East westbound market, capacity remains stable, with no major blank sailings planned for April. While MSC has reduced its weekly capacity, new vessel additions from other carriers have offset this impact, keeping space readily available. However, if demand remains weak, we could still see last-minute blank sailings. For transatlantic westbound, the reduction in blank sailings has resulted in improved stability in vessel space across North and South Europe. Carrier utilization remains high, particularly in Northern Europe, where some vessels are operating at near full capacity. Meanwhile, rate strategies continue to shift, with some carriers reconsidering planned PS adjustments. Canada has responded to the U.S. 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum by imposing matching tariffs on $20.8 billion worth of U.S. products. The measures, effective March 14th, include not just metals, but also consumer goods like computers and sporting equipment. Canadian officials are engaging in ongoing discussions with the U.S. while maintaining firm countermeasures. The U.S. has imposed a 25% tariff on all steel and aluminum imports, triggering retaliation from the European Union. The EU plans to introduce new tariffs on U.S. exports such as bourbon whiskey, boats, and motorcycles beginning in April. With ongoing trade tensions and economic uncertainty, the global shipping industry is watching these developments closely. The U.S. trucking industry is recovering slowly after a prolonged downturn, but now faces new uncertainty due to tariff-driven supply chain disruptions. Market analysts predict that these tariffs could distort freight demand trends, making long-term forecasting more difficult. While some expect demand to pick up in Q2, others warn that continued trade uncertainty may delay market recovery for both truckload and LTL carriers. U.S. retailers have downgraded their Q2 import forecasts due to ongoing tariff disputes. The Global Port Tracker now projects 2.18 million TEUs for April, showing slower than expected growth. Many importers front-loaded shipments to avoid additional duties, leading to elevated inventory levels that could suppress demand in the coming months. Analysts are monitoring whether these trends will stabilize later in the year. And that concludes our update on the global supply chain. Thank you for joining us. We will continue to monitor these developments and keep you informed. You can follow us on LinkedIn and YouTube for more supply chain related updates.